preparing for the possibility of Omicron outbreaks in Missouri communities. Scientists at the University of Missouri are vigilant.
Although Omicron has more immune evasion mutations than in any of the lineages we've seen to date, that does not mean that it's going to be highly contagious, and it certainly doesn't mean it's going to be more pathogenic. Is it a milder disease or a worse disease? If anything is probably milder. What's concerning is that the mutations in Omicron are not random. Most of these mutations we know of from laboratory experiments, because these are mutations that arise in response to neutralizing antibodies. So if there's an antibody that kills the virus will select for mutations that make it resistant to that antibody. And most of the mutations showing up in the receptor binding domain, the region where we sequence, are ones that are known to cause resistance to human neutralizing antibodies. The things that we worked so hard to get by all those vaccine shots, some of them won't work anymore, which is concerning.
That's why it's important to collect and test samples of wastewater. It's part of the sewer shed surveillance project. It may seem like a dirty job, but somebody has to do it, and that someone is this MU professor of molecular microbiology and immunology. Dr. Mark Johnson is trying to get an early warning before an outbreak.
We're not really seeing the future. We're just seeing the present very clearly. We're seeing what is there right now. In this snapshot, here's a reality check of what is actually circulating in each community.
Johnson's lab has been tracking COVID-19 and its variants in the state since early in the pandemic. He recently stepped up wastewater testing, looking for the presence of the Omicron variant of COVID-19.
A comprehensive way of screening most of the state of Missouri once a week to see how much COVID they have and which variants that are circulating in the state.
Even before a Missouri resident tested positive for the Omicron variant in early December, Johnson has been on the lookout and can find even a single case from a sample.
It's like patient testing, except we cover a heck of a lot more people.
To find Omicron, all Johnson needs is human waste to identify genetic material from the virus.
We collect from wastewater treatment facilities, so this is anyone who uses the toilet from that municipality. Anything that goes down the drain eventually ends up in the raw influent at the wastewater treatment facility. And we get a composite sample. So the operators have machines that collect wastewater once every 15 minutes or half hour over a 24-hour period. So we get sort of a little bit of everything that gets deposited over that 24-hour period. And that's what gets shipped to us. They send me a quarter cup of raw influent. Once it gets to the lab, we filter it to get rid of all of the big solids. Then we extract all of the RNA from the liquid, and we do two things. We quantify how much SARS-CoV-2 is present, so we can figure out whether the prevalence is going up or down. And then we sequence a small piece of the genome that tells us which lineages are present from that sewer shed.
By testing wastewater from communities throughout Missouri, the lab can successfully track the spread of any new variant, like Omicron, the way Johnson and his team successfully discovered and tracked the Delta variant. Partnering with the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services and the Missouri Department of Natural Resources, testing wastewater may be the best way to prepare for what could be coming. In fact, the Sewer Shed Surveillance Project has a website with a tracking tool for anyone to follow.
We're probably the most transparent, that we actually just share the dashboard on a map that anyone can look up.
This level of vigilance may be good for anyone with concerns.
The monoclonals that are used therapeutically by Regeneron and Eli Lilly, those are incredibly effective most of the time, but unfortunately, it looks like this virus will not be recognized by those antibodies, so that treatment probably will not work with Omicron.